Sketchy neckbeard turned single player RP into catgirl creepfest. A few years back, I put out a call for players on FB and got a bunch of replies from people who wanted to play but had a hard time finding a DM. Perfect, I thought. The player numbers started to wind down while figuring out scheduling, as is expected. But I had one player who really wanted to play the game but couldn't make scheduling work, so he suggested an asynchronous single player game. Sounded easy enough, I could reply on my own time. So why not? Now I know why not. So I'm a young woman, was in my mid-20s at the time, and this player was a guy I met at an AninCon who seemed friendly enough. I hate to call that alone a red flag, but in hindsight, it kinda was. I tell him the basic premise, it's RPFQ's D&D 5e, but with themes of cosmic horror. In a homebrew setting, weird portals are opening up around the starter town, and he has to figure out how to close them before anything too dangerous gets through. Since he was playing by himself, instead of with a full party, I told him that I'd fill the setting with different NPCs he could recruit for his adventures. His first question, can I build relationships with the NPCs? I replied that of course you can, it's an RP heavy game. And your actions and conversations can get NPCs to trust you more. No, I mean romantic relationships. I raised an eyebrow and said that some NPCs could possibly respond to romantic gestures depending on the character and how it's role played. I generally don't have an issue with PC-PC or PC-NPC relationships, after all, but they are not the main focus by any means. You're okay with adult content, right? I immediately saw where this was heading and told him this may not be the kind of RPG he's looking for. This was a magic adventure RPG, not a dating sim. He insisted he was just asking out of curiosity, then asked a lot of questions about NPC appearances, including if any were anthropomorphic and how old they were, pretty much alluding to are they hot/cat girls and legal? At least I hope that adult age is the answer he was looking for. I blocked him on Discord and FB. I'm glad I shut him down fast and that he showed his true intentions before we actually started playing. The other group that I'm running the game for, they've been playing for 4 years, now are getting into high levels of play and uncovering the deeper plot points I set up, have become good friends, and 2 of them are getting married later this month. I can only imagine how the creep would have derailed this wonderful group with his catgirl spank bank goals. I'm kicking a player out of my group for the first time, and it doesn't feel good at all. We've all 3 PCs and myself been playing together for a little over a year. We went in person once everyone felt comfortable doing so. We started playing Curse of Strahd at that point. I'll also mention that we had all wanted to add at least 1, if not 2 more players, but we hadn't found anyone yet. Once we started that up, one player, the bard, started missing sessions. It started with 2 in a row. I would message after every session to make sure they were okay. I had finally gotten the response that they split up with their partner and needed time to get life straightened out. That's totally fine. I get it. They came back a week later and all was right with the world. Then it happened again. They missed 4 weeks in a row. Again, I messaged after every session to check in. It turns out they got a job in the evenings that conflicted with game time. Again, I get it. Life happens. Just tell me what's going on. So we changed to a day when they were available. I had no problem with it and neither did the other players. All was again right with the world. 3 weeks ago I was inundated with people that wanted to join the group all of a sudden. Not wanting to throw 2 new players right into COS, I devised a quick dungeon with a dragon, because why not, so they could get the gist of the game. I told everyone to roll characters and got no response from the bard. They didn't show, and also didn't show last week. I'm done with the absences and it's not fair to the others who are there. The new players have quite a drive ahead of them, and I don't want them to get there and not be able to play because someone didn't show without any kind of notice. So I'm kicking the bard out today. It's going to suck, but no one in the group has heard anything directly. All in all, not the worst horror story, but it has definitely caused me some grief. Gaslighted into thinking DM disappeared. I roll. Long. Point of order. I can only tell you what happened, the conclusion I came to, and the evidence to support it. This 100% happened as I remember it. A Reddit post in LFG was asking for players for a homebrew 5e setting. Very steampunk, flying City of Gears style kind of story. We get chosen after talking online via Discord privately with the DM, and then we meet the other members of the newly formed group. Everyone seems chill and excited to play. The DM goes into his history of DMing, how he lives in Japan, and how he is DMing other games along with ours. Important for later, we get in gear, first session right into the heart of the story. We are all playing, fighting guards, music is playing on a bot. It was awesome. A poster child for how a game should start and feel, or so we thought. The week goes by, and we begin to pile in for session 2. All the players are in the Discord ready to go, and now we are just waiting for the DM, who was active and had messaged in the general chat an hour ago. He doesn't show. We wait awkwardly for 45 minutes waiting, trying to private message him, message his Reddit, nothing. We say maybe something happened, I hope he is okay, and agree to meet again next week, and wait in the meantime to see if he messages in the group. The week goes by silently. It is the day before game day. Radio silence. A new person joins the Discord. It is Guy. Made up name Guy says he is from the DM's other game, and asks us if we have heard from him. The DM also missed their game, and hasn't messaged anyone 0.0. At this point, we are all like, WTF? Where is he? What is going on? We barely know each other, so when game day comes and goes without him, we all awkwardly say goodbye after one session. As I hover my mouse over the leave Discord server button, I have a thought. How did Guy get into the server? No one knew him. He was a stranger who, according to him, knew the DM. The server was for our game alone, made by the DM, and only he invited us. Who invited Guy? Did the DM fabricate this plan? This plan to end the recently started game by faking his disappearance and create a fake account under the name Guy to sell the story. Was our session 1 so bad collectively that he activated some Omega level last resort to avoid an awkward conversation? If this ending is disappointing to you, I agree. I still don't know. I stayed in the server for another month, sending messages to both accounts, and got nothing back. It is the single weirdest experience in my life as a D&D player. AITA for saying a PC couldn't be a 15-foot tall furbolg. This happened a while ago and eventually led to that campaign completely ending and all the players leaving. The player wanted to be a tall furbolg as the name suggests. I went along with it, since I was a DM they had found on D&D Beyond LFG, and wasn't super comfortable with the group, and didn't want to make waves over little things. During RP and most things this wasn't an issue, until the group got to a dungeon. Said PC at first thought it was a maze, and decided he was just going to look over the walls to bypass the whole encounter. I told him it is not a maze, there is a ceiling. He then made a fuss about not being able to see over the dungeon ceiling, and getting upset with me when I said he couldn't be a 15-foot tall furbolg as that would be the equivalent of a 10-foot tall human, which is possible. I roll, but not without severe disadvantages and issues. This led to him being very quiet for the rest of the session. I later found out he was DMing other players and trying to get them to leave, and on the next map I had a lighting bug on Roll20 where some players could see the whole map and others only saw a black screen. He used this as an excuse that I was a bad DM and him and 2 others left, and with that the rest of the players decided to leave as well, ending the campaign. My friend is getting bullied through his game. My friend doesn't have Reddit, so I'm posting on his behalf. I DM for him, but the group in question is from another game that he's in. Keep in mind, this group is online and with fellow adults. He's basically told me that over the course of this game, he has had 4 characters die. They've only played around 10 sessions. 2 of the deaths have been at the hands of other players. One was during PvP, the other as the players basically threw his character off a cliff, with no saving throw required by the DM. The DM has targeted him every session. His DM has had every enemy in combat focus specifically on this character, refused to let his character roll saving throws, said that he failed saving throws the other players passed, even though he got higher rolls than them, plus his DM rolls their death saves. And my friend's character almost always get all fails or a nat 1 every time. Every time he dies, or his character gets hurt, the entire group, including the DM, finds it incredibly funny. When the other players aren't killing him, they are messing with his character in other ways. Like trying to take their things, making NPCs attack the character, or beating up the character. He's told the DM that he feels like he's being targeted, and the DM basically told him to grow up cause it's funny. My friend is also autistic, and isn't always great at picking up on cues. He wasn't totally oblivious, he just thought he was overreacting. Since one time, after they killed his character he got upset and left, and everyone in the group told him he was being dramatic and to grow up. I think they were basically gaslighting him into thinking that he was being the childish one when they're the ones acting like middle school bullies. Really, their behavior is exactly like bullies messing with someone, saying it's just a joke, and then finding it funny whenever the subject of their torment gets upset. The group we are in together all told him to block them, and not to play with them, and to distance himself from them. But he's a bit nervous about the prospect. He knows he has to. He just doesn't like confrontation. I feel really bad, since he's a really nice guy, super funny, and an awesome player. I genuinely think this group had it out for him, because he sometimes struggles with social cues and obviously refused to make accommodations for him at the table. I think because of this, they just thought he was weird and a good target for their power trip. Right now I really want to help support him in dumping these guys, and giving him an actual good supportive group to play with. Edit. Fix grammar and formatting, and added more details, so I won't have to keep going back and adding details as he gives me more information about this group. 3 hours of wasted time, just to find out I can't play a black PC. So I hopped on Roll20 LFG and found a game. Applied through an annoying questionnaire and a whole screening process via Discord voice chat. Was accepted. Set out a time and date with the DM to do character creation. Since it was homebrewed and tedious, go through the whole character creation process for 3 hours with the DM. And then we got to the PC token picture. He sent me a list of young British celebrities on IMDb. So I picked one off there, John Boyega. I cut the background out and sent him the image. Instantly I heard a groan. He then went on to explain how in his homebrew fantasy world, there was only white people in the city the game takes place in. He then said some bullshit about realism to try and justify it. I accepted the wasted time and just dipped. I truly can't understand why you would make an entire homebrew world just to segregate people in it. Quick little update. Last night on the LFG post I left a comment saying something like maybe you should let players know they can't play non-white player characters. DM kills PC in his introduction and blames it on the player. This is not my story, it happened to an acquaintance. English is not my first language, so I apologize in advance. In this system, CR is made in a way that CR1 is a challenge for a group of 4 LVL1 PCs, or for one LVL4 character. As an example, a LVL9 giant spider has CR2. Encounters are harder, but fewer and reward far more XP. Table began with the group having a minor solo scene for each, as they got to the city, to meet for the first time. Fighter, a city guard, had a sparring session outside the city with a fellow guard, Rogran, and hid, after robbing a corrupt merchant. Then came Cleric of the God of War, my acquaintance. They are all LVL4. Cleric was camping for the night. Once morning comes he would only a few hours of travel to get to the city. DM then tells him to roll perception, which he does, and notices there are 2 wolves reaching him, as he apparently camped near a wolf's den. Camping there was preset by DM, no input from Cleric. Roll initiative, combat starts, things are not going great. The wolves combined have CR1, which means it is a challenging fight for a LVL4 PC. They are both LVL2. Second turn begins with a cave wolf CR2, LVL8, the pack's leader, arriving. This is now a challenging and even unfair fight for the whole group. To a single PC it is a death sentence. In 2 turns he is dead, as he had no chance against an encounter this hard. So Cleric is dead in his introduction. DM just says I thought your Cleric was smart and strong, but he camped near a wolf's den and lost in a fight with a CR lower than his level. That was pathetic. Again, LVL4 PC against 2 LVL2 wolves and 1 LVL8 cave wolf. Cleric said he did not want to play anymore, left the call, and decided to take a break from TTRPGs. Am I overreacting? Or are my player just wannabe hardcore? So, I recently got into D&D again after a horrible experience a few years ago, this time as a DM. I'm playing with 5 of my closest friends and we play twice a week. But I start to regret everything honestly. Apologies for mistakes, but English is not my first language. So, in my campaign, they are the chosen ones, and are fighting a few demons. Monsters, all for glory and fame. But they are kind of exaggerating it. Last session, I put them in dangerous terrain. They've never experienced a sandstorm before, since the world is pretty Middle European based. I was hoping for them to react to it. But instead they went sleeping, not even showing some kind of fear or concern for the spectacle. Like, I have never experienced a sandstorm either, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't stop staring at it and being anxious. When I asked if they don't want to look into it closer, they said, dude, we are adventurers, we fear nothing. Okay, cool. The session before, I had an evil mage manipulating them and showing them an alternative reality where everyone they loved was dead or tortured. Again, nothing. They just went on, unfazed. And again the explanation. I'm an adventurer. I'm confident and strong. Nothing can scare me. Not even you seeing your mother getting ripped apart by a zombie elf. Okay, cool. Another time, I said they couldn't get a long rest since the environment was harsh. If they fell asleep, the fire would have gone out and they were frozen to death. They wanted a long rest anyways. Because we are strong and powerful, we can handle it, followed by being mad at me when I did not kill them, but gave to levels of exhaustion due to freezing weather and their bodies not getting enough rest because they needed to fight the cold. Maybe that was unfair from my side, but I just wanted a reaction. I wanted a hint of fear, concern, something that wasn't we are though bitches and nothing can kill us. I would have been happy with anything. But no, not even a hint of exhaustion during roleplay. Okay, this is starting to get uncool. My question now is, am I just exaggerating, or are they too far gone in their power fantasy? I get that they want to be the heroes, but I think me making them the chosen ones who are the only people who can destroy the evil is really enough for level 8. I'm honestly starting to lose interest. Edit. Okay, I got it. I made mistakes. I shouldn't have given them an option to kill someone in session 0. It's okay. I understand that I might have another idea of D&D. I'll talk to my players and educate myself on the matter. Thank you.